Can I get some squat tips?
I'd love to give you some squat tips.
Okay.
So check it out. I'm going to set myself up here next to a cable stack, and I'll tell you why in just a second. But the first thing I want to talk about is our stance. So my preferred stance when we're doing squats is a wide sumo. This is where my feet are out wide, toes are angled out 45 degrees. Now, the idea is that I'm going to hold on to this pole, a TRX, whatever you can anchor yourself to help myself learn how to sit back into the squat, okay? Because that's the whole key, is we want to be able to sit in the squat. We're making this 90-degree angle, all right? That's important. We don't need to go all the way down, okay? This is where I'm going to get a butt wink, so I want to keep that core nice and engaged, creating that 90-degree angle as I'm driving up through the glutes. Driving up through the glutes. Squeezing through the heels. You must drive through the heels to engage the glute muscle. That's numero uno. Another massive tip, when you squat, you have to be aware of the knees caving in. If your knees are caving in, it's no bueno. You got to kick those knees out to really get the glutes to fire, and you're going to drive through those heels. And boy, oh boy, you practice that. That is going to be a surefire way to get that peach to fire up. Ahoy, Captain. What's happening, guys? Your boy Nuns here. I want to talk about supersets. You ever heard of a superset, Brownie?
No, what's that?
Supersets are one of the most fantastic ways to increase the intensity of your training.
Wow.
They're great to use, honestly, in a bulking or cutting phase, which means if you're burning fat or building muscle. Now, supersetting sounds kind of like it sounds, where we're taking two exercises. So here we're going to illustrate with the squat and the kickback, performing these back to back without any rest. That's how the intensity increases. Now, let me illustrate to give you an idea of what we're talking about here. So I'm going to start here on the squat rack, and I'm going to bang out, let's say 10 reps. Nice 10 reps here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, get my 10, 8, 9, 10. Now, once I rack the weight, no break here. We're going to immediately go to the next exercise, whatever we're supersetting with, and perform that exercise for another 10 reps. Now, if you want to make this really gnarly, you could essentially go back and forth. So I could, when I finish that, go right back to the squat here.
Super duper set, you might say.
This is a super duper set. So supersets are fantastic. I always recommend setting them up where usually you have a bigger lift and a smaller lift. You know, they're great to do opposing muscle groups. So for example, you know, maybe if I'm doing a bicep curl and a tricep extension, or in this case, where we're using the same muscle group and using them as a burnout. So supersets, guys, are absolute must to elevate your training, to build that muscle.
Super duper.
I want to talk about the negative. This is one of the most important training principles to really elevate your training and also help with mind-muscle connection. Now, let's talk a little bit about basic physics here. We would call this, wait. It's easy to illustrate on a curl, right? So the curl would be what we call the positive of the lift, and the way down would be the negative. Another word for negative is eccentric. Most people, when they train, they put a lot of emphasis and focus on the positive. The squat up, the deadlift up, but that's only 50% of the rep. So, yes.
Wow.
So to work the negative, okay, is really concentrating on the down part. So to illustrate here with the one and only step over side cable kick out. Now, I go to the gym, I see most people performing these like this. This is a pretty common sight that you see, right? Now, nothing wrong with fast tempo. However, check this out. I'm going to kick out, and I'm going to slowly work that negative or that eccentric. Once my foot gets to here, I'm going to kick it right back out, getting that nice squeeze and hold. So we slowly come back down, and another squeeze. So this is going to really help you build the mind-muscle connection. I've been asked all the time, I can't feel it in my glutes, I can't feel it. Well, this is how you're going to be able to feel it, by slowing it down and building the mind-muscle connection to the muscle you're training. So the negative or the eccentric is maybe more important than the concentric or the positive.
Wow.
So that's something I really want you to focus on in your training. Eccentrics can last anywhere from 3 up to 10 seconds, and throw them into your routine and watch the results come. Boom.
Awesome.
All right, guys, another training principle here is called the isometric hold. Boy, oh boy, is this ever a good one. Now, illustrating, of course, on the kickbacks. Isometric hold is quite simple, but very difficult. What you do is when you reach the peak of the lift, right? There's always a part where there's a peak. You're gonna hold it. So, on a kickback, for example, when I kick back, instead of just bringing my leg back down, I'm gonna hold the weight. And I'm gonna hold it for about 10 to 15 seconds and really build this mind-muscle connection. And this is an absolute burner. I can slowly bring the weight down, and then I'm gonna bust it up and drive it again. But the key here in the isometric hold is you're holding the weight. And this does take some, this takes a little bit of grit, a little bit of patience. Most people just want to rep it out. So really holding this weight is extremely difficult. Isometric holds are something that's awesome to do as well on like a pull-up. This is where you can hold yourself on a pull-up and just hold yourself up there. Hold yourself up there for as long as you can. So isometric holds, absolutely fantastic to elevate your training to get better results.
Nice shoes.
Yeah, man, New Balance 960s, 9060s.
That's right.
That's it.
Fresh.
Okay, here's another training principle. Throwing too many at you today. This is called all tempo. Now, all tempo is actually tougher than you think. And a lot of people don't do it necessarily right.
Okay.
All tempo is there's zero breakage at the peak or bottom of the lift. So, for example, if I'm doing a kickback, it will be boom, boom, boom,
Boom.
boom. Yeah, you can say it with me. Boom, right? Another easy way to illustrate it is the squat. A lot of people, when they squat, they'll squat down, give a second, squat down, give a second. When we're working with tempo, ain't no stopping. Down, up, down, up, down, up. No breakage. So this is pretty gnarly to do. It's like a burnout, So a good way to illustrate it, for example, it's like on the squat rack here. Maybe you do, I don't know, your 5 heavy reps or something like that. Once you rack the weight, just go into a nice little all tempo, no break, all gas, no break set. So high tempo reps, guys, fantastic principle as well. Love to use this in a fat burning cutting phase to really get your metabolism going.
Spicy.
Get you sweating.
Woo, woo, woo.
I'm so excited to break down the rest pause. This is one of the most effective training principles if understood and executed properly. Now, let me explain. Most people, when they work out, they'll look at their program and they'll say 3 sets of 15 reps. And what that individual will do is they'll do their 15 reps, take a break. Oh, let me check the phone, and do another set. Rest pause, give you a little slap. Because the idea behind the rest pause is that you're taking a mini break. So, let's say it back to the 15 reps. Let's say I hit my 15 reps, okay? Now, instead of finishing my set, taking a drink and looking at my phone, I'm gonna give myself about 5 seconds. Catch my breath, take the rest, the pause, and then now do another set, as many as I can, squeezing and driving out. Once I fatigued, I'll drop the weight. Another rest pause, bang out as many reps as I can. Once I fatigue, drop the weight, take a breather, bang out another massive set. And you can go on pretty much for as long as you want. This is so effective because it's pushing you beyond your limits, and this is how you grow muscle. So use rest pause in any of your exercises and really see how far you can take it. This is a great way to really practice your high rep training. I'm a huge fan of the high rep training, as you know here in the glute training app that I have. It's all high rep training. So this is a great way to do it using rest pause. And once again, this is where you're continuing the set by taking little mini breaks. And boy, oh boy, she works. She works.